Sigue su curso a un tiempo cruel y extraña, implacable y hermosa, alargando el pasado, encogiendo el presente, repartiendo futuros inevitables, juntando y separando gente.
Durante más de 40 años, Richard Kuklinski, el hombre de hielo, vivió una doble vida que superó con creces lo que se puede ver en Los Soprano. Aunque se había convertido en uno de los asesinos profesionales más temibles de la historia de los Estados Unidos, no dejaba de invitar a sus vecinos a alegres barbacoas en un barrio residencial de Nueva Jersey. Richard Kuklinski participó, bajo las órdenes de Sammy el Toro, en la ejecución de Paul Castellano en el restaurante Sparks. John Gotti lo contrató para que matara a un vecino suyo que había atropellado a su hijo accidentalmente. También desempeñó un papel activo en la muerte de Jimmy Hoffa. Kuklinski cobraba un suplemento cuando le encargaban que hiciera sufrir a sus víctimas. Realizaba este sádico trabajo con dedicación y con fría eficiencia, sin dejar descontentos a sus clientes jamás. Según sus propios cálculos, mató a más de 200 personas, y se enorgullecía de su astucia y de la variedad y contundencia de las técnicas que empleaba. Este rastro de asesinatos duró 40 años, en los que Kuklinski viajó para matar por los Estados Unidos y en otras partes del mundo, como Europa y América del Sur. Mientras tanto, se casó y tuvo 3 hijos, a los que envió a una escuela católica. Su hija padecía una enfermedad por la que tenía que estar ingresada con frecuencia en hospitales infantiles, donde el padre se ganó una buena reputación por su dedicación como padre y por el cariño y las atenciones que prestaba a los demás niños. El hogar de los Kuklinski se bañaba de luz todas las navidades, y los veranos eran una sucesión de barbacoas y de fiestas en el jardín y en la piscina de su casa, a las que acudían muchos vecinos del barrio. Su familia no sospechó nada jamás. Pocos años después de que la policía pusiera fin a Kuklinski en manos de la justicia, este decidió conceder una serie de entrevistas a un cineasta especializado en documentales. El resultado estremecedor fueron 3 documentales sobre la vida de Kuklinski emitidos por la HBO. John O'Connor, del New York Times, dijo: "Pocos espectadores olvidarán este retrato tan estremecedor. Si se tuviera que comparar con alguna película de ficción, tendría que estar a la altura de El silencio de los corderos". Este libro se basa en más de 240 horas de entrevistas personales mantenidas con Richard Kuklinski en la prisión estatal de Trenton y en las oficinas del fiscal general en Fairfield, Nueva Jersey. En todos los casos posibles, los delitos y asesinatos que comentamos Richard y yo, se comprobaron acudiendo a contactos de la mafia, fuentes policiales, documentos, atestados y fotografías. Cuando Richard y yo hablábamos de su vida y de los delitos que cometió a lo largo de 43 años, él jamás adoptó una actitud de fanfarrón ni de presumido. De hecho, una buena parte de lo que se relata en este libro solo la contó a base de insistirle y de animarlo a hablar. Según me parece a mí, Richard fue siempre sincero y veraz, directo y franco hasta un grado extremo. El teniente Patrick Kane, de la Policía Estatal de Nueva Jersey, ha sido una fuente inestimable de detalles, datos, impresiones, fechas y lugares. El sargento Rob Anzalotti y su compañero, el detective Mark Benul, también han prestado gran ayuda para arrojar luz sobre el fenómeno oscuro y violento que fue, y que sigue siendo de hecho, al escribir estas líneas, la vida de Richard Leonard Kuklinski. Y ahora dejemos que el propio monstruo nos cuente en persona algo de su asesina vida.
Did you think of yourself as an assassin?
Assassin? Sounds so exotic. I was just a murderer.
In July 2002, Dr. Park Dietz, a world-renowned psychiatrist and consultant to the FBI, visited Kuklinski in search of an insight into his twisted criminal mind. Over the course of 4 days, Dr. Dietz spent 13 hours with him, trying to penetrate the psyche of this remorseless killer.
If I understand you correctly, you're positive you killed more than 50 people. And
Definitely.
you think you probably killed more than 100 people.
Definitely.
Sure of that one.
Definitely.
But not sure it's more than 200.
I wouldn't say definitely to that.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
I would say less than 200 people.
Well, you tell me.
It's not less than 200 people.
You killed more than 200 people.
Sure. Yep. I killed, basically, 100 people when I was a young man. Before I even knew anybody. Too much. One part of my life, I killed people for nothing. Just for somebody to look at me wrong, I would kill them. Stab them, shoot them.
You tended to shoot people up close and personal.
Definitely. I wanted to tell them just before they left. I wanted to say goodbye.
Did you like to look them in the eye?
I wanted them looking straight at me. This was a long way away. The distance we are now. We were closer.
What did you want them to think as they died?
Just see my pretty face. I take it to them. But the last thing they ever saw was me. And if they carry that glimpse to eternity, infinity, or whatever it is, they're going to be thinking of me all that time. I'd be looking in their eyes. I would see the blankness come over it. I'd watch them die. I just didn't shoot them and walk away. I saw the surprise, the shock, the blank. They're gone. And all I saw was my reflection. But that's it.
Did you have a favorite place you'd like to shoot?
A favorite?
Yeah.
Well, most of the time, if you're up close, you shoot them under the chin. You would shoot him. Shot a guy one time in his Adam's apple. See how long it would take him to die.
How long did it take?
A few minutes. He drowned, actually. He didn't.
Drowned in his blood?
Mm-hmm. I was with somebody else. We had a $50 bet. I lost.
You thought he'd go faster, huh?
Yes.
Do you know what an adrenaline rush feels like?
Oh, yeah.
What will give you one?
Sex.
Dr. Dietz discovered that by the age of 10, Richard Kuklinski was already showing signs of pathological behavior.
How were you with animals at that age?
Deadly.
Cats, dogs?
Cats, dogs. I used to tie 2 cats' tails together. I throw them over a clothesline and watch them rip each other apart.
How long does it take?
Not long.
Did they both die?
I don't know. I never stood around to see if the final thing. I would say eventually they both died because they were both pretty well tore up.
Gotta be noisy.
It was quite noisy.
What else would you do with cats?
Well, we had the incinerator in the projects there. So I threw a cat in the incinerator. Then I threw a book of matches in there. And through the door, I watched the fire get bigger and bigger, and this cat was running around, trying to get away. Eventually, the fire got too big for him, and he didn't run anymore. I took a guy down one time, just following him around. He was with a few people. Now, as they went to the bar, this person decided he couldn't wait to get inside to urinate. He never did. Everybody else went in. He stayed outside to urinate. He urinated. He went comfortably anyway. He had an empty bladder. But I actually strangled him.
From behind, I assume.
Definitely. I actually did it in a way that's maybe this is original, and maybe not, I don't know. But I put the rope around his neck, twisted it, and threw him over my shoulder, and held him there. So actually, I was the tree hanging him,
Yeah.
and he eventually just stopped kicking. And I let it loose at one end. He slid down to the ground. I put him over by the garbage and left.
Had you brought a length of rope with you?
No, actually, this guy, these people had around and back at a bar. They must have lived upstairs. There was an apartment upstairs, and they had one of these things where they had rope across this thing, and they had a couple of these lines going across this way. And that's what I took.
Talking about clothesline?
Yeah.
Now, what had this guy done to you?
I didn't like him. He just made me mad, some reason or other. For me to track him and wait for him, I was mad at him for something.
Do you remember what his body did while you were hanging him?
Yeah, I was twitching and kicking.
How long did it take?
I don't really know. Didn't look at my watch, so I really couldn't say. You know, I kept him a while. Even after he stopped, I kept him a while just to make sure.
Did you have another weapon with you?
Yes.
But this was quieter.
It was more personal. I actually felt him die.
Did you like that?
Didn't do anything. But I mean, I did feel him die. I felt him go limp.
And you got your relief?
Yes. Basically, I didn't have any more pressure, no more tension. It was almost like a cure-all. Unbelievable.
From an early age, Kuklinski had an uncontrollable temper. If he had a problem, he solved it the only way he knew how.
I was driving in Georgia one time, and we were riding down the road, and there was a couple of vans running around, and they were hooping and hollering there. I guess they were having a good old time and maybe drinking and whatnot. They decided, I guess it was interesting to play with a guy from New Jersey, and they started to click-clack and with their vans and push me here and push me there off the road, and they were running in and out, and what their problem was, I really don't know. Never did know. And I didn't even know them.
How many?
There was a few of them. I reloaded.
Killed every last one of them.
Yeah. And that wasn't even one I wanted to do. I don't back off once I go forward. Once I go forward and I take a gun, I do not back off. I didn't know how many they had. I didn't know what they had. They could have had guns. They could have had anything. They wanted to play with me. I didn't want to play. So, we didn't play no more. And I would have taken whatever came.
Kuklinski's efficient, remorseless killings came to the attention of the Mafia, and in his 20s he graduated from the random, impulsive murders of his youth to a new career as a contract killer. He recalls his first murder for hire.
He gave me a picture of him and a description of what he does and what he generally does and where he goes, places he goes. And so I went to the area where they said he might be, and I saw somebody who looked like him, similar to him. He had a knack for smoking, and they told me he smoked big cigars, Churchill cigars or something. So I pulled up alongside of him. At the time I was riding a motorcycle. And I just said, Cuban? Are they Cuban? Looks like a good cigar. And he wasn't a happy camper, because he said, fuck you. And when he said, fuck you, he looked my way, and I got a clear shot of his face. It was a picture I had of the man they wanted, and I said, nah, don't fuck me, fuck you. And I just took this weapon out and blew his head off. Just disintegrated his, like you see a pumpkin get hit with a shotgun or something, they just spread out. And that's what happened. And light turned green about the time I shot him, and I left.
By the late 60s, the Iceman had become one of the mob's most prolific contract killers. Some of his most brutal murders took place at the Gemini Lounge in Brooklyn, a favorite haunt of Mafia men.
Dismembering bodies, did that turn your stomach?
I don't think so. I remember having pizza one day while we were doing something like that.
Pizza in one hand, chainsaw in the other?
No. I didn't like chainsaws. That's another fable that they've come up with, that I use chainsaws. See, chainsaws are messy.
Yep.
All you get is all over me I have these little pieces of meat. Now that's a pain in the neck if I use chainsaws. Now would I want to ruin a good shirt with a chainsaw? That would be downright stupid. And I definitely have the wrong. I don't think I could walk around with bits of meat hanging off me or bits and pieces of somebody's body hanging off me. I would probably smell a little bit bad also at that point.
So what's a better way to dismember
Just
a
a
body?
knife. A butcher knife, you know, you cut it around the bone and little slice here, a little slice there, and wrap it, ship it.
Do you understand that most people can't imagine doing that to a human?
Sure. I can understand that a great deal. I can't understand why I can.
Did you have to cultivate that ability, or is that natural for you?
I don't know. I don't recall. I did it. I don't recall when I started doing it or why, or the feeling I had when I did it. I don't know.
Jeffrey Dahmer told me that when he cut bodies apart,
Yeah.
it repelled him. He found it horrible. He had to get himself drunk to overcome that
Stink.
natural revulsion.
Yeah.
It's because it's disgusting.
Yes, it is.
But to you could just do it. No feeling.
No. The smell sometimes was annoying, but I would put cologne on. I would generally put cologne across here, so I could smell the cologne a lot better than I could smell anything else.
Shooting, stabbing, strangulation, even poisoning, all part of Richard Kuklinski's murderous repertoire. He sometimes froze his victims' bodies to disguise their time of death, earning him the name of Iceman. In his sessions with psychiatrist Dr. Dietz, he revealed that some of his clients wanted his victims to suffer before they died. Of course, Kuklinski obliged, creating the kind of death nightmares are made of, often capturing the torture on film.
I used to have a thing where I would take somebody into a cabin or cave, whatever you want to call it, and I would tie them up or tape them, their hands and their feet together, and then I would leave them there, and I'd leave a camera on, and rats used to eat them. Rats used to kill these people. It was a very painful death for these people because rats would eventually smell them or come near them and start nibbling away at them. The people would definitely scream and yell and holler and try to get away. And eventually more rats would come and they would consume these people eventually, you know. But there was a lot of screaming and yelling in between. But when I did that and I watched it on, the devil was that, Super 8 I think it was, I found it distasteful and it used to make me nervous for some reason. And so that was some type of a feeling which I wasn't too keen on having. But I did it because it gave me a feeling of some kind, and therefore I was trying to find out what it was that was giving me some type of feeling. Whether it was the horror of what was going on, or the screaming that was happening, or just the nastiness of it. But I never figured it out. But I did that quite a few times, too. Maybe too many times.
And watched it?
Yes. I beat a guy to death one time. I had blood in my shoes. His blood in my shoes. It just goes on that way. Had to throw all my clothes away. There I was driving a big Lincoln Town car with butt naked. Had a sheet wrapped around me. We're having too much fun, you know that? You realize that? I'm coming across like a nice guy. Nobody's gonna believe this. Nobody. I wouldn't believe this if I was watching this. Because I'm the furthest thing from a nice guy. I am what you call a person's nightmare. Because of the way I project myself, people think they can get by. And then all of a sudden, when they wake up, it's too late. They already hit the stop sign. And that's a dead stop.
But there have been people you've been good to, aren't there?
Not many. There have been people. I don't know what you consider good. Your interpretation of good might be different than mine. I don't know. What do you mean good?
Well, how do you think you were with your kids?
Oh, the kids. Now you're talking completely different. Now you're talking black and white. There was nothing I wouldn't do for my children. Nothing. I'd kill everybody in this room for them. That's just to show you a point. Not that I would or want to, I'm just saying I would. If it meant I had to for them, I would do it without even thinking twice. Constant hate. Constant reminder to hate.
What's that do for you?
Keeps my left foot going in front of my right foot. Keeps me moving. Without it, I would probably just plop down someplace and have no reason to continue.
Is that all you've got left is hate?
That's all I've got left. Everything that I ever cared for is gone. Everything I ever liked is gone. Everything that meant anything to me is gone. So hate.
That's all you started with, too.
Then I've come full circle. It's time for me to die.
Quality Ebook es un programa que permite generar de forma rápida y sencilla un libro electrónico en formato EPUB, MOBI, FB2, LRF o AZW. El ebook generado cumple rigurosamente el estándar y todas las recomendaciones, por lo que es compatible con todos los lectores electrónicos del mercado. Quality Ebook está pensado para autores que desean publicar sus libros en formato electrónico. También es útil para lectores que deseen pasar su biblioteca a dicho formato. Los estudiantes y profesionales que deseen pasar sus notas al mismo, también encontrarán en Quality Ebook un inestimable aliado. Crea tu propio libro digital en el formato que más te guste. EPUB, LRF, MOBI, AZW, FB2. Con Quality Ebook disfrutarás del placer de la lectura.